Hey everyone, Charlie here with Advent Tech, and I'm going to show you how to use the gesture commands on the OneScreen T7 panel. Gestures are just shortcuts, ways to get to a few different functions or commands. It's not an unlimited set of options, it's just sort of a default set built within the panel, but they can be very helpful if you're a teacher who commonly uses, say, the Spotlight or the screen capture, the Write app, to get to these things quicker. So I'll demonstrate it and then I'll show you how to adjust the gestures because you can personalize them. So if I take my 5 fingers, and that's sort of the key to all the gestures, and I either spread or shrink, right now I have those two gestures enabled. So shrink opens up the Spotlight app. I think I also pulled down at the same time. So actually that's probably a good lesson in using gestures. Sometimes they don't always work the way you think that they will. So I'm going to do that again and try not to pull down at the same time. And like you saw before, the Spotlight app opens up. The Spotlight app is just exactly what it sounds like. It's a way for you to spotlight specific things and hide the rest of the screen if you want. Now if I want to use a 5-finger spread, that opens up the capture tool. So here's the capture tool, and I can use it to take sort of any size screenshot on the panel, and then I can either send it directly to the whiteboard or I can save it as a file locally on the system. Now the gestures don't work everywhere, and the reason I mention that is because sometimes you have an application up that is looking for touch capability already, like say the Write app. So if I'm in the Write app, which, you know, this panel has 50 points of touch and the Write app is designed to use as many as possible, if I try to do a shrink or a spread, that's not going to work. It's just going to write on the app. But there may be other places where it would work. For instance, if I'm, in YouTube, well, I wouldn't expect the 5-finger up and down to work, but I bet I could do a shrink. Yeah, there you go. So that one worked, and that's great. But I bet if I did a up and down with the 5 fingers, it's just going to pull me, up and down on the screen instead of using the gesture tool. So I just mentioned that because gestures don't work 100% of the time. They work in a lot of the apps unless they're looking for certain touchscreen interactions, and then the gestures will default to whatever the app is looking for, which is actually pretty great. I'm going to bring up the settings really quick, and I always keep the settings right here because I access them a lot, but if you don't keep your settings right here in this quick command tray, you can always pull up from the bottom of the screen and then navigate through all your apps, including the settings menu. So let's pull it up here. And I'm already on the personal tab of settings. That's where you find gestures. And I'm going to go here, and now you can see, so the 5-finger shrink and spread, widget spotlight, and capture tool. So that's why those were working. I can turn off gestures. Let's say I'm kind of accidentally opening these apps or these different tools, and I actually don't want gestures enabled at all. I could totally just disable it and it's fine. But let's say you want to utilize it, you can do that by going in here. And then, like I said, it's not an unlimited number of commands or options. There are some places, like when you're doing the remote control configuration for the 3 programmable buttons, you can choose pretty much any app to open up through the remote control. Very cool. Here it's just a limited set of options. So 5-finger slide left, well, I want to open up the Write app when I do that. 5-finger slide right, let's make that the annotate tool. And then 5-finger slide up, well, let's make that the home button, right? So now in this case, you can see if I go slide left, it's going to open the Write app back up, right? Now, if I had just done that with a couple fingers, right, it'll take me back and forth between my different screens. And 5-finger right opens up down here the annotate tool, right? Remember that? That's what we set that one to. So now I can draw right in my screen because 5 fingers to the right opened up the annotate tool. And, again, let's open up the Write app again. And like I said, if you were to go up here, the home command is not going to work, or left or right. Those commands are not going to work. But let's say I've got something like YouTube up, and I were to go up here, it will actually work sometimes on these different apps, right? So it actually did take me home in that case, while it was also trying to scroll me up and down on the screen. And again, I'll kind of just show you this on a different app. And I just kind of want to show you within some of these apps, because the behavior is not always what you expect with the gestures, but pull up something like the calculator app and then swipe up and it'll take you home. Or if you want to swipe to the right because you put it in an equation and you really want to now highlight it or capture something that you did, you can use the annotate tool, right? And so those do work. The gestures do work within most apps, but again, within some apps, it might cause some different funny behavior. So that's it, that's gestures. You can turn them off if you don't want them, or you can use them for quick command functions. I think it's a super cool customization you can have within the panel, and thanks so much for watching.